Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm so excited for part 3 of our Maximizing Profitability and Scalability series. It's here. If you haven't caught part 1 and part 2 yet, there are some serious great hacks in those. So check them out. Go to amazingathome.com/blog and you'll see the first 2 parts of the series. And if you're a reader, you can read the blog. If you like to watch these things, you can click on the YouTube video, which is right there in the blog as well. So be sure to check out parts 1 and parts 2 because there's been so much covered. I mean, inventory management and sales hacks, all kinds of cool things. So, and advertising stuff, like so many great things. I think we also had how choosing the right products from Zon Guru, from John Tilley, like so many awesome tips in those first 2 parts of the series. But let's get to part 3. This week, we're really going to continue this series with some more really, really great tips. And the first one is going to come from Nate Ginsburg, who's going to talk about his top 5 profitability hacks. And some of these are really easy to do and things that you may not have been doing. And so it's really awesome to think about easy tweaks that we can make to have more profits in our business. So that's going to be awesome. And then Abe Chomali is going to come. Abe is an advertising expert. I love having him in the mastermind group. He, when he comes as a guest and talks to us about advertising, it is great. And he's going to talk to us about how to make more sales. And these are easy ways, easy tweaks we can make with our advertising to convert more. And who doesn't want to convert more? So watch those tips by Abe and take advantage of those easy tweaks. And then finally, Nader Youngchild from D8a Driven. Nader's a former Amazonian himself, and he's actually going to talk to us about how to choose the right products to sell. And not just how to choose them in general, but the top 4 factors for choosing the right products to sell. So I know you guys are going to love this week's series. Without further ado, let's get to it.
Hello, my name is Nate Ginsburg. I'm the founder of Sellerplex, and today I'm going to talk to you about the biggest challenges sellers face when trying to maximize their profits on Amazon. So I'm going to break down the top 5 things, challenges sellers face, and as well as some tips on how you can overcome them. So number 1 is simply not knowing your numbers. So what most sellers do, or a lot of sellers do, is they don't even have clarity when it comes to their financials. And if you don't have good bookkeeping done every month that you can review, it's not even possible for you to maximize your profit because you're basically like flying the plane blind. And so the first thing that you need to do is know your numbers 100%. And the way to do this is get a great experienced bookkeeper who has experience with e-commerce. E-commerce, cost of goods, these things are tricky from an accounting standpoint. So it's really, really crucial that you have someone on your team to handle this for you that has specific e-commerce accounting experience so that you, number 1, know your numbers. So, excuse me. Once you know your numbers, you're ready to dive into the next 4 levers to maximize your profit. So number 2 is the challenge is most sellers are overpaying for their freight and logistics. And so what happens is what most sellers do is when they're arranging their logistics, they just use the first recommendation they get from their factory or from a friend, and they don't shop around. And so this is really a big opportunity for low-hanging fruit to increase profit to your bottom line, is simply shopping around to get better freight rates. So this is a quick one. It's an easy one to maximize some profit that for your business. And if you don't do it, it's a challenge because you're gonna make less money. So all right, there we go. Number 3, the next challenge is sellers paying too much for their cost of goods. So this one is it's a bit heavier. It's can be potentially really, really impactful. Cost of goods is one of the biggest expense items on your P&L, and so adjusting this can have a potentially huge impact. And so what most sellers do is they get the cost of good rates from their factory and they just accept them, and or they start working with the factory, make some orders, and they don't go to renegotiate their cost of goods. And so this is a big opportunity for you to maximize your profit, save money on cost of goods. One of your biggest expense items is by, well, two things. One is if you've been working with a factory for a long time, you can approach them about negotiating lower rates. You can ask if you can buy bigger quantities for lower cost of goods. So that's one thing. As well as, again, shopping around. A lot of sellers get complacent. They start working with the factory, and they don't shop around to see if they can continue to get better prices. So that's the next. Number 3 is the challenge is overpaying for cost of goods. Number 4 is the number 4 challenge is paying too much for their team. And so I'm a huge team guy. I love my team. I think all of you should have amazing teams to support you and your business. Also, the reality is a lot of people are they're paying too much for their team and support. And this comes down to two things. One, they don't have the right business structure and operation structure. So they could have too many people, or they don't have the right people in the right roles, as well as just simply paying more than they need to. And that's because of a lack of a good hiring process. So what a lot of sellers do is they have a role they think they need to hire for. Maybe they put a little job description, they pass it around to friends, maybe they post it on their social media, and they just take whatever applicants sort of show up, and they hire them, and whatever rates. When what you want to do and how to maximize your profit is going to be to run an efficient and effective, really recruiting search. And so go out there, put together a hiring funnel with interview questions, as well as an actual interview to put people through the process to get a lot of candidates to vet, so you can get the best ones at also the most reasonable prices. So that's number 4, overpaying for their team. And then number 5 is paying too much on their promotions. And so again, this is also a function of a lot of sellers not having clarity on their numbers, on their accounting, on their bookkeeping. Is they think when they do a product launch or they're a relaunch, they just give away as many units as they think they need to with no regard to their profit. And these giveaways are very expensive. They have a big impact on your profit. And so the solution is you need to be totally aware and mindful of how much you're giving away. What are your costs? What are your expenses? What is your projections in terms of your giveaways to eventual sales velocity? When are you going to make that money back? And that all, on the foundation of having good accounting, so you have insight into this. If you don't have the good accounting, there's no way you can know this. There's no way you can maximize your profit. So again, what most sellers do is they just give away, do promotions in hopes of ranking, without discernment and intentionality when it comes to being on top of the numbers and the return on their promotions. So don't be like that. Be on top of your numbers and for the promotions, so you can maximize your profit. So quick to review, 5 challenges sellers face. Number 1 is not having clarity on their financials. Number 2 is overpaying for their freight. Number 3 is overpaying for cost of goods. Number 4, paying too much, overpaying for their team. And number 5 is paying too much on their promotions. Hope this is useful. Again, Nate Ginsberg from Sellerplex. We are here to help sellers sell more while working less. If you have any questions, comments, want to reach out to me or my team, please do so. Would love to hear from you. Hope this is useful. Peace from Costa Rica.
Hey guys, this is Abe Chomali with XP Strategy, and I wanted to take a couple of minutes and help you out with a couple of common mistakes that I see that sellers make. I work with sellers of all sizes, from small to enormously large, and I work with brands in most categories on Amazon. And it's probably safe to say that I see certain types of things happening pretty frequently. And I wanted to point a couple of those out. So hopefully, if you see them in your accounts, you can work on improving those and helping out your sales. The first thing I wanted to point out was that most shopping on Amazon happens on cell phones, but most listings are created on desktops. How does that affect you? If your listing looks good on the desktop but does not look as good on your phone, you're going to lose out on sales when people come to your product and it does not resonate or doesn't communicate the benefits you're trying to point out. Um, what I see frequently is that images don't look as good on a phone as they do on desktop, and especially when it comes to text. Text that looks good on your laptop screen or on your desktop screen ends up being microscopic and hard to read on when it comes to your much, much smaller cell phone. You Galaxy users might have like 19-inch screens on your cell phones, but that's not most of us. So what you really want to do before approving an image, you're really going to want to make sure, or before approving a listing, you're going to want to make sure that you've checked that on your phone and it communicates the things you want to communicate really, really well on your cell phone. So that's the first thing. That will help improve your conversion rates. And of course, once your ad has done the work of bringing a shopper to your page, the listing is what turns the shopper into the actual sale. So make sure those listings are solid. The second thing I wanted to talk about is making sure you invest in brand defense advertising. Hopefully, once you've had a few products start to sell significant amounts, shoppers are going to start to search for your product directly. And they're going to start to search for your brand directly, especially if you've got a good brand name. Once that happens, and once your product is popular enough for people to start searching, it is almost a given that the competition is going to start advertising against those terms, trying to take sales for that search volume. What you're going to want to do is make sure that when somebody looks for you and looks for the search terms that or the brand terms that you've turned into popular things, you want to make sure they end up buying your product. You might initially think that, hey, they're looking for me anyway, for sure I'm going to make the sale. But that's not always the case. Across the top of the page, Amazon has a big banner headline spot, and the first 4 results are sponsored ad results, and sometimes there are even more ad spots than that before you even see the first organic spot. So if a shopper looks for you and everything they see at the top of the page is competitors, and some of those competitors might have a lowball price or some extra thing that they're offering, it is possible for you to lose at least some of your sales to those competitors. Don't let that happen. Block them out. Make sure you're number 1 organic, which is going to likely happen anyway for your brand, but make sure the top of the page is filled with your products. You've done the work of building the brand. Now do that last piece of work to capture those shoppers who are interested in you. Hopefully those 2 pieces of advice help. If there's anything else you need, you can find me all over the internet. Thanks, guys.
Hi, everyone. We're going to dive into the important factors to consider when choosing the right products to sell on Amazon today. I'm Nader Youngchild, the CEO and co-founder of D8a Driven, a carbon-6 portfolio company, one of the newest carbon-6 portfolio companies. And I'm a former Amazonian. I spent a few years at Amazon in the consumable categories. So as we dive in, I'm going to start with the 4 primary factors we want to consider when choosing products to sell on Amazon, and then we'll go over some bonus topics at the end. I'll go through the 4 and then we'll dive into each of them. Number 1 is unique value proposition. Number 2 is overall brand alignment. Number 3 is operations. And number 4 is profitability. Okay, number 1, unique value proposition. This really comes down to why is the customer going to buy your product versus the other options they have to fill their needs. Customers buy products because they have a need. The product solves the need. There's really 3 forms of unique value proposition. There's either they need, a big brim hat because they're in a sunny place so that their eyes aren't, they don't have too much sun in their eyes, and there are no big brim hats available on Amazon. So one form of a unique value proposition is that there are no other options you're going to be introducing to the marketplace of products. That is the first option. Rare, but possible if you do enough customer research around what customers want. Rare though, because lots of people have probably considered many products. The next one is called nuanced need. And this is where, let's say you want to sell a trash can, and you see lots of trash cans on Amazon. Lots of trash cans with lids, lots of trash cans without lids, but you don't see a trash can with a lid that has a hinge where the lid can come off but still stay there and hinge back on. And so it's that nuance that you're bringing, that unique value proposition of the nuance form of unique value proposition to your product to bring to the customers. And then the last form of unique value proposition is pricing segmentation. So this is, let's say there's all kinds of eco-friendly shampoos and conditioners on the market, and you really want to sell an eco-friendly shampoo and conditioner, and you notice that all the eco-friendly shampoo and conditioners on the market are about 50% higher price than every other non-organic and eco-friendly shampoo and conditioner. And so if you can find a way to get an eco-friendly shampoo and conditioner to market that's not 50% higher than regular, not eco-friendly shampoo and conditioner, if you can bring it into the price segmentation of regular shampoos and conditioners, that's another opportunity of a unique value proposition, right? You're delivering them a product and you're giving it to them in the form of a pricing segmentation that's unique and ideally will give you the opportunity to earn sales. So those three forms are, there's no other option, you are offering a nuanced option to the options out there, and number three would be pricing segmentation. Okay, so those are our unique value propositions that we work through. Next, overall brand alignment. When it comes to picking products on Amazon, which products to sell, we want to make sure that we're not just picking random products that we're finding at good deals at trade shows. We want to make sure that as we sell products on Amazon, at some capacity, we're building a brand. So let's say we're already selling shampoos and conditioners, and things are going okay with those shampoos and conditioners. We're building a relationship with those customers. To put a product in a customer's home is a big deal. It's a very intimate relationship between the seller and that customer. Ideally, you're selling a product, then hopefully we'll get to the bonus topic of consumables, of why it's good to sell products that people buy over and over. But before we go there, overall brand alignment. The idea is, if I'm selling shampoos and conditioners and it's working, I don't want to shift all the way over to say, I don't know, towels. I might think that they're both in the bathroom space, but I have customers that view my brand as delivering them value within shampoos and conditioners. So I need to continue to leverage that value as I build that brand in the path that the customer will allow me. So I need to start selling maybe travel size of that shampoo and conditioner, maybe transition over to body wash, maybe eventually deodorant, maybe eventually I can sell the customer that I'm going after all the products in their bathroom, all the way to the towels on their towel rack. But to make that leap is a big, you won't be able to leverage all of the effort you've put into building a relationship with your already pre-existing shampoo and conditioner customers. So making sure that you're cognizant of the products you pick, that they're around, that they're going to make sense to a consumer, that they're building a brand and the brand makes sense to them. Also, side note, it's a big deal to build a brand. It's a big investment, time and money. And so maximize that investment by staying in your lane. And as you want to expand your lane, expand it one lane at a time. Okay, number three, operations. And this one comes down to kind of some of the nut and bolts. The idea here is, let's make sure we're not picking products that have raw materials that are going into that make the product that are super scarce. We want to make sure we're picking raw materials that are available, maybe even available and cheap if possible. We want to have simplified ingredients. We don't want ingredients that can only come from, say Madagascar, or very, very unique and sometimes complicated geopolitical impacts on our ability to source the raw material that goes into the actual product. Number two, within operations, we want to make sure that we're cognizant of limiting our supply chain. Really what that means is we want the least amount of complications and the least amount of touches possible to go from the raw material that's in the dirt or whatever's coming to then make our product. We want to make sure there's the least amount of touches as possible, making sure we're not, sourcing resin for the plastic on this country, on this continent, and then putting together the product with these ingredients on these two other continents, and then somehow they all have to get to China and then packaged in a processing plant and then air shipped over. The least amount of those touches that we can have and the most amount that we can pull out of our supply chain, the better. It's going to open us up for long-term success and long-term avoidance of disruptions that can come at all of those touch points. And then lastly, on operations, we're going to look at product size. At the end of the day, to be successful on Amazon, you'll either go straight to FBA or you'll eventually be selling on FBA. FBA being where Amazon is taking all your products, housing them in their warehouse. As customers buy them, they ship them off to the customer. So you get the products to the customer. As you do that, we have to be considerate of the fact that Amazon doesn't just have unlimited shelf space. They have a finite amount of fulfillment centers, and those fulfillment centers can only hold so much products at a time. The bigger our product is, the bulkier it is, the weirder shaped it is, the harder it is to get into a box, The more fragile it is, the more complicated it is, the more leakage that it can produce or damage that it can produce, meaning the least amount of other products can go in the box with it. As we think about those complications, at the end of the day, Amazon is trying to build their business. They can't build their business without sellers, but they build their business on the backs of sellers, and they're cognizant of they need simple. The more products they can put in one box, the better, right? That's multiple products sharing the cost of that box, the cost of the human putting it in, the cost of the conveyor belt running it down, the cost of shipping it to the customer. And so the more Amazon can limit those costs, the better. So just being cognizant of, relatively speaking, the smaller, less complicated size, less chance of leakage and breakage products that you can sell on Amazon, the better. Doesn't mean you can't sell, we have great clients at Data Driven, one that sells really awesome gourmet peanut butter that's in a glass jar that, as you can imagine, peanut butter can leak with oils, glass can also break, but they're very successful on Amazon because they over-deliver in value to the customer. So it can be done, but limiting those complications makes it a lot easier on you as you journey into the Amazon space. Next and last, we have profitability. So profitability on Amazon, we just need to be cognizant of the fact that Amazon takes 15% off the top when we're selling. As a seller, Amazon, we also have costs going into, we have to get the product to Amazon, and then Amazon charges us for getting the product to the customer. And there's two other buckets that's important for sellers to keep in mind. One is PPC and promotional budget, making sure that we have at least 10 to 15% of our planned sales are going to be available for us to spend on PPC and promotion budget so that we can continue to activate growth. And then the last one being making sure that we have budget for all of the success tools that we want to use to help us drive that growth on Amazon. It's hard to do alone. It's hard to do with just the ideas in our head. And there's really powerful tools out there nowadays that can help us really maximize growth. So making sure we have some budget in our P&L for that as well. Lastly, I said 2 bonus topics. The 2 bonus topics are, if I was starting another Seller Central business today, I absolutely wouldn't touch a category if it wasn't consumables. There is so much value in consumables with Amazon, starting and really ending with the idea of I have inherently the opportunity to drive lifetime value with customers. I can sell a product that they use, they need it again a month later, they need it again 3 months later, and I can start to leverage Amazon's program called Subscribe and Save, where customers can subscribe to a product and they get a discount, but it comes to their house every month, every 3 months, whatever their cadence is of usage. It's a very powerful program. It also makes it so you don't have to advertise to that customer, run promos to that customer anymore as well. And lastly, I want to avoid controlled categories on Amazon, such as sexual wellness products, CBD, hemp, weapon accessories. Those products can be complicated when Amazon can shut some of those categories down from time to time. They suppress search. It's a rough go at it. I would avoid those. So those are my 2 bonus topics. So lastly, important factors to consider when choosing the right products to sell on Amazon: unique value proposition, alignment with your brand, operations, complications, profitability, and the 2 bonus topics: pick consumables if you can, and really try and avoid the controlled categories such as sexual wellness, drugs, CBD, hemp, and weapon accessories. Awesome. Hope everyone has a great day. Look forward to seeing you around.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Nate and Abe and Nader, for your really, really great tips. I hope everyone has enjoyed the series this week. We have 1 more week to go. Part 4 is coming up next. So I can't wait to see you guys there, and we want to hear from you. Let us know what other questions you have and what your favorite tips have been. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.